the next ISD children's
Turn it over to Principal Chase, Heritage Middle School.
Good evening, President Fessa, members of the board, Superintendent Toscano, and our community. My name is Andrea Chase, and I have the honor of serving as the principal of Heritage Middle School. I'm proud to be here tonight alongside two of our exceptional students, Adam Barone House and Alana House, who will help us begin our meeting. At this time, please join me in welcoming them as they lead us in the United States flag, pledge the Texas flag, and
to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Please bow your heads for our prayer. Dear Lord, thank you for bringing us together today. Please guide our leaders with wisdom, kindness, and understanding as they make decisions for our schools and communities. Help us all to work together with respect and hope to create a safe and inspiring place for every student to learn and grow. Amen.
thank you for representing heritage, race, and leadership. You may or may not have heard the term on the slide. When it comes to student learning, it's a phrase used to describe academic setbacks that can happen when students disconnect over summer break. But tonight, I'm proud to highlight a group of heritage students who chose a different path. Students who spent part of their summer diving into history through travel and national academic competition. Their experiences reflect the kind of responsible, respectful, and intellectually curious learners we aim to develop at Heritage Middle School. So just for a few moments, I'd like to share highlights from their summer journey to the East Coast, including visits to historical landmarks and participation in the prestigious National History Day competition in Washington, D.C. So Heritage Scholars and Art. So Heritage Middle School and East Central ISD were represented at the National History Day contest. So I don't know if there's enough detail, but the students in the background, that's the delegation of all students that came from across the country to participate in this national contest. So Kaylee Kellner is a seventh grade student who represented Heritage Middle School. So for the National History Day contest, students began competition at the school level, then they moved to the regional and then state level. So top winners moved from each state to advance to the national contest held in Washington, D.C. each June. So, while Kylie did not place at the national contest, we are incredibly proud of her creativity, intellect, perseverance, dedication, and endurance to compete at the national level. So when Kylie traveled to D.C. for National History Day, she wasn't sightseeing. Kylie earned a place on the national stage to represent original research and represent Heritage Middle School and East Central ISD with pride. Heritage Middle School students also embarked on a 6-day, 5-night East Coast trip exploring some of the most significant historical landmarks of our nation's history. The trip included Washington, D.C., Jamestown, Williamsburg, and Charlottesville. So in this picture, you see our students standing in front of the Jefferson Memorial in D.C. On this picture, there are some additional students standing in front of the Washington Monument and the Capitol is in the background. And in this photo, students are at the National Gallery of Art. So while in D.C., students tour the U.S. Capitol, major national monuments, the Arlington National Cemetery, the Smithsonian Museums, Ford Theater and Museum, the U.S. Holocaust Memorial Museum, and George Washington's Mount Everest. On their stop in Charlottesville, brought history to life for our students and deepened their understanding of our nation's foundation. The next trip is scheduled for summer of 2026. It is planned for Boston and New York City. So since I will be presenting next June, I will have highlights for you today.
Okay, so the next item on the agenda is awards and recognitions.
Yeah, trustees, we have a great source of pride in the building tonight that we want to recognize publicly. And I think we all know. Okay?
Yes, sir. So we'd like to call the following players that are representing the 2025 Central Softball Team: Diana Lepardo, Janice Ramirez, Marissa Delgado, and Jenny Lynn Carter. Y'all can please make your way forward. And we have coaches Karina Thornton and Maggie Welling with us. Y'all want to hold your back? Y'all may hold your trophies. Why don't you get those things out? There we go. There we go. So as they're taking their pictures, I'm going to say a few words. The East Central softball team had a historic season as they made it all the way to the state semifinals. This is the first time an East Central team has made it to the state tournament in the last 28 years, and the first time in school history the softball program has qualified for state. Qualifying for state is a remarkable feat, as it means that they were one of the top Final Four teams remaining across the entire state of Texas at the end of the season. Overall, the team went 21-13 and finished third in district with a record of 84. But they outscored their opponents in the postseason 100 runs to 48. Isa Hernandez made the 6A Division I All-State Tournament team, and Tessie Harrison made it to the High School Coaches Association Super League team. All 5 of the seniors that we have signed a letter of intent to play at the collegiate level. Most importantly, these student athletes, the ones that stand before you today, and the entire team, are the epitome of what we aspire for all of our student athletes. They are better people first, better students second, and better athletes third. They possess high character and integrity, and ECISD couldn't be more proud of these student athletes as they are today. Help me in congratulating these hardworking, dedicated athletes and coaches from East Central softball team. Real quick, because here's what we also know, is we also know that there's a tremendous amount of support from home in order for these student athletes to be successful. From the early morning workouts to the long out-of-town trips, the late night dinners after games, these student athletes could not have accomplished this without the support of their family. Would the parents of these students please stand so that we can recognize you as well? Thank you so much. Please stand. Wait, there's more. We also wanted to take this opportunity to congratulate Coach Maggie Welling for her recent announcement as the Freshman Coach of the Year. Coach Welling led the Hornets to a historic season, guiding this team to the state semifinals for the first time in program history. This recognition is a testament to Coach Welling's leadership, dedication, and the incredible determination of our student athletes. Thank you, Coach, for what you do every day for our student athletes and for the entire ECISD community. One more time, let's thank our
recess and we'll reconvene about 6:45. For those of you that need to leave, you go home and you don't have to do homework. But if you got excuses. But for those of you that need to leave, we'll take a recess and we'll reconvene at 6:45. Esmeralda.
Yes. Esmeralda Umbrella? Yes.
Come on up. Just right here, this one.
Okay.
Let me just give you a couple of guidelines. When addressing the presiding officer during the public forum, speakers' commentary must adhere to the following. Speakers signed up to speak about topics not on the agenda will be allowed to speak first. Speakers signed up to speak about agenda items will be included second and according to the agenda item. Speakers can make up to 3 minutes depending on the number of people. All comments shall be addressed to the presiding officer. Speakers may not give their allotted time to someone else. Individual meeting and translator will be granted twice the amount of time allotted to English speakers. Everyone must follow courtesy and respect. Speakers shall not employ profane or threatening language, nor shall they engage in any personal attacks. The expectation is that the message delivered by the speaker is done so in a constructive manner and a collaborative purpose. Speakers are expected to respect both the forum of the public meeting and the authority of the board. The board of trustees request that derogatory or inflammatory statements and personal attacks on individuals be avoided. Caution should be exercised in publicly attacking specific individuals. This is not a forum for specific parent, student, or employee complaints. Such complaints should be handled through the appropriate board policy. Please contact the personnel office for information regarding filing of your complaint. If you're unable to resolve your complaint through the grievance procedure, the board may hear it at a level 3. Employee complaints, board policy B2BA, student or parent complaints, board policy SMG, public complaints, board policy GF. If the comment is regarding a specific employee who is listed on the agenda, the comment must be allowed. In accordance with board policy BED local, the board shall not deliberate nor respond to any subject that is not included on the agenda posted with the notice of the meeting. Speakers who have signed up to speak on specific agenda item must focus their comments on the posted agenda item.
I've written down everything that's in
I
here.
don't see what a lot of that means.
Exactly.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Jessica Lopez. I'm here representing some parents tonight. Vaping, that's the issue. Huge concern. It has hit my family. It has hit the entire community, as evidenced by, of course, many reports across and across all the districts.
went to the softball games, both of them, and got to see those remarkable girls do what they did, and took me back to way back when my daughter played. So I have a lot of tie-in with a lot of sports, particularly softball. So it's really nice to cheer them on and see that support and see that through their support as well. Did the graduation for both the heritage that did not get to make legacy, so I will make that up in some way, shape, or form. I guarantee you that, Mr. Hyatt. And made the heritage one, and it was very nice. It took me back again when my son and my daughter graduated, and of course there was the high school graduation, which I was first time, very rushed. I was expecting it to be an all-day affair, and it was, hey, hurry up, hurry up. And, it's a good thing I was the last at the very end there, because I just said, hey, I leaned over to Mr. McKay, and I said, watch this, once I get everybody else out of here, we got like 15 minutes, and zipping through, going through. So, and there was a few pictures I had there that those were Ginger, somebody that Ginger knew, I forget who that was exactly, but she had asked me to take some pictures out there. Miss Ariola, met her there, and dressed in the tees, of course, looking sharp as ever, but it was quite an experience. It was very nice to look forward to the next one. Carrying on there, I did attend the SLI meetings as well, and parking's expensive, ridiculously expensive there at the end, just to get over to Marriott. But completed my hours, got a lot of really, really good trainings, a lot of good sessions that I plan to bring back to the board. I've got pages and pages and pages of notes. A couple of things excited me very, very well that I'd like to bring up at some point in time, and we have our folks there, Ginger and Amelia, who were actually speaking at one of the sessions that we actually had attended. Dell and I had showed up there to support them. It was very nice. We were there at the end. We got to meet at Margaritaville and enjoy the time that we were there. So, this was just some of the topics, some of the things that I had attended, some of the meetings about budgets, education code. I think that could have gone on all weekend, but I allotted a few hours for that. Got a little bit brief on some of that. Just some of the other things, education code, chapter 1 of many as it went on there. But very informative on those that I had attended. This one, very, very close and near to my heart. This was actually, I have to tell a quick little story, that this was a bird nest. This was a bird that we were given. I think it was 2 or 3 board meetings ago. And this little particular couple of birds, I had replaced the fan motor outside, put it in a box, left it on the box on top of the patio table. And lo and behold, I said, oh, it's time for the trash, and I took it out and realized there was a nest in it. They kept coming to build a nest. I said, oh my God, my cat's just like, yeah, I got this, wagging her tail, just waiting. But I took the nest away, and they kept coming back. I felt bad, the animal lover that I am, and realized kids from East Central made me a little house for the birds. I wanted to show that I put it to good use. They made a home and saved their nest. So it was really, really nice to see that. I remember I had it, pulled it out, hung it up, and they immediately found it and made a home. So I had to share that with everybody. So I need to, I have a little slip on who made it exactly. I will find that out, but I may need some help in finding out so I can congratulate those kids and show them exactly what I did. And another one, congratulations to my Longhorns to go along with our EC group. Longhorn softball finished out on top, and that there is Miss Leanne Good. And if anybody does not know how she ties in here, her mother teaches here, Miss Shannon Good. So she taught my son pre-cal. I think it was 2019, he said, and I think she's at the high school now, or she's floating around. Maybe maybe has some misinformation. Her mother was here. Her mother was here teaching us. So I just Longhorn proud and had to share that with everybody as well. We had a little time. But very good. Yes, that's it.
Okay, I don't have any pictures, but I spent a lot of time going to softball games in different stadiums, and I really enjoyed going to games. Mrs. Arrow kept me updated on right after the game was over, who's up next, and I was very excited about that. One of the most memorable games that I remember was the second game of the Blues series. We had won the first game, but the second game, all we had to do was the second game of the series over. coach decided to play her backup, start her backup pitcher. So the backup pitcher, she kind of struggled during the first inning. We was up 2-0, and she kind of struggled, and score ended up 2-2. So she was able to get out there. She went on and pitched a good game until the seventh inning. She got in trouble again. And the coaches and the players had so much confidence in her and belief in her that she's going to get the win. As the opposing teams were pulling pitchers all through the game when they got in trouble. But Coach Welling and her coaches believed that this young lady was going to get the win. And when she went on and got the win, but what I got out of that she gave her the confidence to face challenges, and that will last her throughout life. Not only the win was important, but that was important for her to believe in her, and I think that was a great move on the coach. That's probably why she was expressed, San Antonio Express Coach of the Year, because she wasn't, I know she wanted to win, but she wanted this young lady to finish the game, and that's the most the game of that, taking it serious. I went on to some camps out of the high schools. I went to the Little Horn football camp. I enjoyed that. I saw some other camps going on the field, some strength and conditioning camps, the camps with the football team, and everything seemed to be going pretty good. It looked like we're doing a lot to keep our kids involved over the summer months, and that's good to see. I also went to the summer leadership convention last week, and I attended a session when they talked about Senate Bill 12, and that really caught my eye when they talked about Senate Bill 12. There's a lot of things in there that I need to get clarified, especially about communication devices and things like that, and school suspension and things like that. But it's a lot of things in that bill that I need clarification on, and I'll give you something to get some clarification on that. I want to congratulate Margarita Gonzalez being named the principal at Victory Elementary over 26 schools. If she's not here, I'll give her my congratulations.
I will.
I'll make sure you do. We'll see what else I got. I think that's all right. That's about it. Thanks a lot.
Wow, well, I had the opportunity to attend the second cast graduation, and it was just stellar. I mean, the very first one last year was awesome, and it was no less awesome this time around. So really, those kind of people. Of course, the high school graduation, yeah, it's a well-oiled machine. I mean, they crank out, they have such, and they behave so well. I tell them they behave so well. It's awesome to be there. Those summer leadership, I'm sorry that Ginger and Amelia aren't here because they did a presentation, so I did go to that. So they represented us well, they did a great job, with, two other board members that talked about, education and, continuing education and those kinds of things. I did a board institute, which is like, all day boot camp kind of thing, but, it was really, really good. The officers across Texas that, did that all day. And the last thing that I did at the institute, I was at the summer leadership was, the last session with the Grammy Award, Mr. Ricky Smith, the dance with him. So I knew about pictures, but I'm not gonna show them.
That's awesome. Thank you, Ms. Marcel. All right, so the next item is superintendent reports, and 7.1 is board goals update. Mr. Shimano?
Yeah, I'd like to call Jonathan over to the podium. Nice jacket you got there, Jonathan.
Madam President, Chief of Staff, 2 articles so far where we did the news for our stores, and so a lot of celebrations and things. I'm going to briefly update our long-term goals. We're going to go through some highlights of the day, some campuses, and then we're going to finish up with Dr. Holden and CCMI. So these are slides that you saw previously based on our projection for them, but because they are our long-term goals, I just updated them. I'm not going to spend very long on them. But the blue one was last year, the yellow ones are goal for next year, and the reds are our current performance for our 3rd grade, getting to this level, very close to what we saw on the projections, 5th grade, algebra scores, our 11th grade college readiness number, and we are still celebrating our CCMR rate of 98%, which Dr. Holden will talk a little bit about at the end. So going through our campuses, I'm just going to spend a moment with maybe, we have a ton of data, I can spend a few hours with you, but I'm just going to spend a moment with each campus, if that's all right. So bright spot we saw with East Central High School is that CCMR data is going to really help our accountability right now. We saw big gains, so when you see a number like 11% gains that approaches, that's unusually high. 5% gain would be probably pretty noteworthy, but 11% is huge. And then meets is even harder, that's at higher levels, so the coaches level, the meets level, the master's level. So a 10% gain at meets is a huge deal. So they're really celebrating that English 2 performance. The hot spot for them is more the algebra performance. And what I want you to keep in mind is about 3 out of 4 of our kids this year are passing the algebra test in 8th grade. So if we talk about high school algebra, we're talking about just those quarter of kids who were unsuccessful previously and transfer students. And so it's a much smaller group that are already kind of struggling. And then a little unusual for us, the graduation rate was lower for us. And so I was looking at it, I think it has to do with COVID. So they do like a 4, 5, 6 year rate for us, and then it's all delayed by 1 year. So you're really talking about 5 years ago, 6 years ago, and 7 years ago. And that's one of the problems with state accountability is that you're looking at some really old data. And so Central High School, we're going to pivot over to CAS. So CAS is celebrating their graduation rate. They're celebrating big gains on their biology performance, big gains in English, including, I made a note there that on the writing component of it, they have bigger gains in the writing than any other campus at the grade level throughout the district. And again, our hotspot is algebra and U.S. history. What I want to note there is it's unusually low for us, but unusually low for us is 85%. So that's still a pretty high number, but that tends to be one of the easier tests to pass. So it's not a bad situation when you're calling out 85% as a hotspot. Pivoting over to Heritage, their high school EOCs continue to thrive with about 3 out of 4 students in algebra, like I said, passing. But their biology was really something noteworthy. We have almost half of our kids taking biology, and they had a 99% pass rate on the high school test, and 83% at meets. And so those are really remarkable numbers. And then the 8th grade reading test for Heritage, that's the second highest scoring. So we said CAS had the biggest improvement when they came to grade level. Heritage's 8th grade reading had the second highest rating overall for our district. And so that math we've been tracking all year long, that cohort of 7th graders that take the 8th grade test, and that's one of the hot spots. And then coming out of 5th going up to 6th grade, that cohort was lower. That's a little keep in mind on the data this year. Pivoting over to Legacy, their reading every grade and every cohort was higher than the prior. That's really unusual. And their 8th grade reading was the highest performance. So we said CAS did the most, Heritage was the second highest, but 8th grade Legacy actually had the highest on the writing scores in the whole district. For any campus in grade level. For their high school performance, similar to Heritage, was really noteworthy, but for Legacy, they've never been higher than their upper level schools. And so still quite remarkable, right? And it's again, almost half the kids in eighth grade. You can see those strong stories. We had a class that we told you about where we targeted about 200 students that we were trying to change their performance this year, and our goal was to get 100 points from them. If we scored it, we have 102 points, 102 points. And so we were really proud of the work. We really rallied people from all over the district, borrowing people from all over, trying to, change some plans, so districts were planning with teachers, and then a couple of people actually worked with students. We targeted about 180 different students, and that was a real success this year. And a lot of people did incredible work to make that happen. The biggest hotspot for legacy, there's sixth grade math. So the seventh grade and eighth grade math was lower, but relatively speaking, sixth grade math is probably the hotspot. It was a little lower than what we were hoping for. We focused on harmony, and we said, hey, going from fourth to fifth grade, that cohort, they did gains. They made unusually large gains at the Beats grade level, so that middle one, that Beats grade level, their reading went up 10%, which is really unusually high. Math went up 9%, which is great. Great news and great sign that they're really trying to chase those higher performing scores. And then science, fifth grade science was something we had some concerns around. It made a 12% gain in passing. Some hotspots for harmony are fifth grade reading at the passing level, and their writing at ECR, extended constructive response, or the writing simple. That was a usual. They're looking at the data and focusing on the forward. So we're going to our high bars. We have not seen scores as high as what cars has here. We probably spent 40 minutes just walking through all the scores here. But overall, as a whole, math went up 19% across third, fourth, and fifth grade combined. Leads expectations went up 19%. Again, we've never seen numbers quite like that. And their master's rate doubled from 13% to 26%. So huge gains. We've seen occasionally where like a math score might look like 83, 55, 26 there on math, but that's their campus average for all the grade levels. So we don't typically see that. And that's again a remarkable result. And then their reading gains, if not for the high performance on math, I think we would say, wow, look at these amazing reading gains, 19% in E's, etc. Their reading doesn't quite get as much press because they're phenomenal math gains, but overall remarkable. I think Brittany and her team have really targeted, really understanding the accountability system for the state and targeting things. So in doing that, she recognized that science wasn't going to get as many points in the system. And so that's the way the state accountability system works, was that she's able to get a really high super performance. So hotspot for her is going to be that science going forward. That's something that they're already starting to make plans around how to get that science up so it's as amazing as these other ones. But overall, I'm far with the remarkable scores. Modern, the bright spot is really that fourth grade reading. And if I can say that coincidentally, they have a fourth grade teacher that was a fourth grade student of mine, so I take full credit for the seriously, she's an aspiring leader, so they're keeping an eye on her. That team is a real bright spot. And they're keeping an eye on the fifth grade scores for reading, math, in particular, and writing. Oakcrest also had just really phenomenal scores this year. I think it's hard to give enough justice to Ms. Lively, what she brought to the district with the results orientation. She brought some tools and some data that our team was able to kind of work with her on, try to refine, try to help visualize performance for campuses, and pay which kids to target, and where can we really see where the data is a little bit off, and really move the needle with some kids. And that team's really doing some great work. And so, in particular, that third to fourth grade cohort made huge gains. That third grade reading was one that they were concerned with. If you recall, from the beginning of the year, they were worried about all year long. Because of their targeting, their real great use of data, Spanish, so in that dual language program, the third and fourth grade students are lagging behind some of their peers relatively. So third and fourth grade dual language is Spanish. Con Valley, we've got big gains, 10%, big gain approaches, 13 fees. But their biggest mover was really the third grade. They had a couple really stellar teachers move up to third grade, and just from the beginning of the year, I've seen people in Con Valley and say, oh my gosh, we're really moving over here. And so that's a big celebration. Looking at their gains are big, and so relative, so 17% increase, 14% increase, and then gains on that science test as well. So now we said that math gained a lot, but it's still a hot spot. They still have work to do on math. That's still an area. And same thing with the science, something to kind of keep an eye on in the writing. Extended constructive response, part of the writing and trainings. Solano, another big gainer. We were predicting big gains, and we were not surprised there. You can see the readings up, third grade, average performance, all year long. We were talking about our math being up, and how we were expecting big math gains, and we saw those big math gains, and big score on science there as well. So it was some amazing work over there. And their hotspot is also that third and fourth grade reading and Spanish test. Is the area. So the last two campuses share a coach, Dr. Charles Scarborough, was the superintendent in the area and around the state. He did great work coaching them, and he's super proud of the leaders of this campus and the teachers and kids did it. So tons to celebrate in Sinclair. We've been predicting big games on the reading, and we're not disappointed with that. You see, so he was up there, games between cohorts. What we were really pleasantly surprised with is the focus at the end using the data to make big math games as well. And so that's really noteworthy, and science games were huge as well. So lots to celebrate there. And then they're writing, in particular, that third grade group, extended constructive responses. Last one, tradition. So tradition, but to me, the big story for them was their system work. You really see a strong relationship as campuses got really good with systems. You can see the results coming along with it. So they really strengthened their behavior system over the last 18 months. See huge discipline outcomes, improvement, big data work, lots of things that empower these big breakthroughs. Again, we're seeing double-digit gains. Normally, like one of those, we'd be holding up there and saying, wow, it's an 11% gain, that's a big deal. But so many people have done such great work this year. It almost feels normal, but I assure you 11% gain is not normal for us. And then we saw a big gain in science, and so a hot spot for them. So they're making gains at that fourth grade math. They targeted that fourth grade math, but it's still a hot spot for them. And then that rating is still an issue for them. That extended constructive response, so practicing that right, and moving out of the other house for their tradition. And so what I did is I pulled up this slide I shared with you at the last meeting, and I added a column. So I wanted you to see what we were projecting and then how it actually turned out. So Harmony we thought was going to be down a little bit. We saw some of that in the data. Highland Forest, we were saying it was pretty similar. And I think I told you that Brittany had other data. She said, no, I think it's going to be up. And I said, Brittany, we're going to go with our data. And it turns out that I should not be second guessing the Highland Forest team because they had huge gains. So we thought they would have high scores, but it was even more than that. Honor didn't have scores previous to that. Oakcrest also, we made a note just saying that we think it may be slightly conservative to say it was similar because of the dual language. We thought it might have, because they tested both languages, we thought it might have because the scores were a little lower. We thought, well, they probably gained a little bit, but we're going to say it's similar. And the slide was thinking, oh, I think we might have done it. I think we, and again, I should be listening to it because they had a huge gain as we saw there. Con Valley was up just like we thought. might have been down just a pinch, and they weren't, they were up. So that was a real pleasant surprise. Just that, they did a great job. That last push and target and getting us there. And then our high school campuses, especially around that college readiness and stuff, I think was going to cause them to have to be getting some of their overall accountability from the prior year. Dr. Holden, Dr. CC Marshall.
Good evening. Thank you for letting me talk about our success this year with college prep legislative readiness. So we did end the year out with, I know it says 97, but we did end the year out with 98% of our graduating cohort at ECHS meeting one or more of the CC1 indicators. So just a reminder, that's any indicator around their TSI compliance, SAT, ACT, if they've met industry-based certification, joined the military, or graduated with an IEP or workforce, their workforce completion for special education. Just a little bit about some of the additional work. I know we've been coming and talking to you quite a bit about Texas College Bridge, getting to TSI, but one of the things that we were really proud of this year is one of our teammates, Heidi Pease, working with, she works also with our special education department, working very closely to go back and ensure that every single student who's graduating with an IEP met what they needed to and were coded absolutely appropriately, so that those students were being given the exactly what they deserve as they should have as they walk the stage. So we were really proud to see that we had 100% of those students coded appropriately and ready to roll as they walk the stage. So we have set some systems in place to really make sure that occurs every time for every student. We are really proud to say that 94% of our students do not need remediation when they're going into college in the fall. So we're hoping that all 94% of those students do take advantage of Alamo Promise and go to college, and if they do, they will be ready. There will be no remediation needed for them. And then we were also really proud. One of the biggest things that we've seen yet so far in our CTE programming is 42% of the graduating class at ECHS earned an industry-based certification. Going down and looking at CAS Lead, we have been sharing with you from January that they had already met 100% of their students being college ready, and we did a big push with them in May to get our students to earn their industry-based certifications in entrepreneurship and small business, and we're really proud to say that just under 50% of those students actually earned that as well. So we're really proud of the work that the team over at CAS Lead to accomplish this year. First thing I want to say is we met our goal. We exceeded it by 10 points, so we're really proud of the work of Ms. Gomez and her team at ECHS and Ms. Jackson and hers at CAS. Moving forward, as our board goal is indicating that our students are going to be college ready leaving their junior year, we're going to be shifting the focus to a lot of our junior students. We'll still make sure every senior gets what they need to be prepared. We'll be planning a fall deployment of our Texas College Bridge this year, so as soon as the students hit the ground at ECHS and CAS Lead the first day of school, Ms. Burns has been working with us to help us be able to get access to Texas College Bridge for our students day one. So we'll see some early gains, and then we are working on some deployment of additional innovative models for dual credit programming for our students, so that they can start taking dual credit as early as their freshman and sophomore year to help them be college ready by the time they get to their junior year.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, moving on to item 7.2, 2025-2026 formula grants consolidated federal application available for public use. Mr. Scott?
Yeah, trustees, this is something that we, by statute, have to bring this to you each year at this time. And this is indicating to you that we have submitted our 25-26 formal grant application. We've met all requirements for submitting that application. That application is in compliance with statute, being made visible to the public and accessible in the superintendent's office. And just by way of reminder, this ESSA application is for access to entitlement grant dollars, federal entitlement grant dollars. That would be Title I Part A, Title I Part C, support students, Title I Part B, supporting our at-risk youth, Title II Part A, supporting teacher and principal training and improvement, Title III Part A, our English language learners, and Title IV Part A, supporting academic enrichment for students. So again, this is to create or enhance programs, not to supplant dollars in our essential foundation program. And again, the obligation here is to make this application visible to the public and in accordance with the requirement. It is just so. Happy to answer your questions.
Next item is 7.3, personnel report, Mr. Summer.
Yeah, trustees, in your electronic packet, you'll see the activity of this month's report. And as you're probably familiar, this is the month where we see the report reflecting a real heavy tip towards those who left the organization. So it's reflecting last month's all employees who have retired or who have resigned, and begun to start indicating employees who are replacing those. So what you'll see in July is that list start to balance out, and by August, you'll see it really heavy on the new employees. And currently, we're on track and on pace to fill all vacancies, as we typically see each and every year in the June, July, and August timeframe. And we'll keep you up to date as each month passes. And you're all aware of the recruiting of a diminished talent pool is an ongoing struggle. But we're very excited about the things that our personnel department have been doing, as well as each of our hiring stewards have been doing to recruit. And of course, when everybody starts to get wind of the secret of the great things happening here in Central ISD, folks just want to be part of the winning team. So we know that that's going to help us continue to retain our very best and recruit the very best that are available to take positions. Keep it going.
Item 7.4, bond construction update.
Yeah, I'll turn it over to John Thomas. This month's report is available in your miscellaneous packet if you'd rather follow along that way.
Good evening. I'm going to start with Ballard Middle School. You can see the stone veneer is making its way across that first wing and onto the front of the building. Following right behind it is the metal panels that you start seeing wrapping over the top of that building. With that, there's a lot of installation of the MEP mechanical systems, a lot of duct work, plumbing, electrical going on in the building. And with that as well, they're closing up that first wing has drywall and they're painting it right. So really good progress. We feel really this thing is on track. So very good progress there. The site as well is moving forward. A lot of the curbs are in place. We're going to start working on the football field here pretty soon. So feel good about it. Victory. You can see the steel erection is continuing to go on there. This team is moving fast as well and really well sequenced. They've got the trades lined up right behind each other. Once the steel goes up, they're decked. As you can see there, about a third of the building is decked. And then they come in right behind that for the sheeting of the walls and they're grinding it. So good progress out there. Also on schedule. CTE building, as you drive by there, you'll see the roof is in place. A lot of the side panels on either side of the building. It's open on the ends right now because they're getting the mechanical systems in, but you'll see here in the next month, those walls closing as well. Upcoming transportation is continued to be in permitting, so we're working through that process right now. Elementary school number 10 is in design development. Good progress being made there. And high school number 2, we have brought it in your packet tonight for a general contractor. We'll be able to do this. Y'all have any questions?
Just one, is everything on tax? I mean, I think you said Ballard and Victory, the CT building is behind, or is it?
The CTE was a little bit behind our initial schedule because of permitting, but we are still going to be able to get that turned over in December. That adjusted schedule was expected yesterday. two groups that we get to work through, and it has extended the permitting a little bit past what we would like to have.
That makes
Yes.
100%.
He's rubbing all the hair off his head.
That makes 100% sense why that would be a little bit lagging behind.
Yes.
Thank you for that. Thank you. Anybody else?
And elementary school number 10, just by way of reminder, on Thursday, July 6th.
And I was just about to confirm it for that transportation. What seems to be the, hold up on that? What?
There's a couple holdups. So originally the plat timeline had run out, so we had to replat it with the city of San Antonio. And before you have to have that done to get it to the county to go through their permitting process. So unfortunately, there was a timeout related to that platting expiration. In addition to that, they wanted to look further into our detention pond that is in the design, and that's gonna help. Stormwater has been a challenge in Bear County, I would say, in dealing with the stormwater permits. A little bit more than what we would have expected for the good piece of property.
But so far, even with permitting challenges, adjusting schedules, timelines, and good work with all the partners involved, SGCs and doors, our design team, our LPA, our project management team here, all the time. We're on time on every project thus far, so we expect transportation to be no different. Just get past this hiccup, we'll rally and regroup and adjust the timeline and get it done.
Yes, sir. And as a matter of fact, we're actually talking about this next month, purchasing some of the long lead time items so that we can get that procured and going.
Anybody else? Perfect, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Next is item 7.5, policy update, FNG local. Mr. Cascano?
Yeah, trustees, FNG local refers to complaints. Grants made with FNG local. This is our parent complaint policy, which allows parents who are not satisfied to file a formal complaint or a grievance, which can take multiple levels, a level 1, a level 2, or a level 3 in sequence if satisfaction and compromise is not reached. That level 3 is brought to the board. What we're bringing to you this month for your consideration is to consider guidance that we've been given that when you're talking about programs that are not part of foundation academic program, like extracurriculars, clubs, organizations, and athletic program, those are not property rights. So all students have right to core academics, and they cannot have that right denied. But as you know, if a child tries out for baseball and doesn't make the team and they get cut, they've gotten that denied. They don't have a property right to that. So athletics, extracurriculars are, all students have access to, but they don't have a right to those things. So they have to maintain eligibility as well and all of those sorts of things. So the issue here is that currently in our policy, if there was a complaint about something like playing time, it could be something the board would have to address at level 3, should rise to that level. We believe that it is more appropriate for a parent to have the complaint process avenue from level 1 to a level 2, and then it should make it to a level 3 for extracurricular type programs. We form a district level committee to hear that complaint, so that the board would not be the venue for that, because the board's role in governance is to administer and govern core academic programs, not to hear complaints about playing time and those sorts of things, or concerns about cheer events, things of that nature. So we're bringing this for your review this month. We'll bring it back for a continued discussion and possible approval next month. You can see the adjustment in FNG's level is very minor, and it just simply says that should it go to a level 3, the district will form a district level committee that will include representatives from my office, student services, health services, and other administration at the district level to hear that complaint and reach that appropriate solution. And so just another way to think about it, there have been times and will be times consideration from the kids. And I use that example because it's happened before. And again, not that that's not a serious issue, and an issue that needs to be handled administratively and appropriately and fairly. It's just not necessarily the appropriate thing for the board, whose primary role is governance and oversight of the entire academic program. To need to have to administer decisions on that, it's an administrative level decisions. That's what we're bringing to your consideration with this particular policy. It is more common than not for districts to have this amendment in the policy for extracurricular programs. So again, this is not for action tonight, this is for further discussion and consideration throughout the next month. We'll bring it back in July for your consideration and possible approval. If you have any feedback or further consideration you'd like us to make, or further opinions you'd like for us to get, we have to do that. We'll make sure we get all the information we need to make a decision we come with about this particular policy.
Questions? The next item is 7.6, policy manual update 125. Mr. Tiscano?
So this is the policy update 125. This is customary from TASB as they review all policies and make recommendations for amendments. It's a big policy update, and again, we're bringing this for review this month. But some tools in here for you, a comparison packet. That comparison packet is going to show the red and blue line changes to each of the policies. It'll have all of the language that is being eliminated and that is being added by recommendation. Then you have the cliff notes or explanatory notes, which gives you a really quick, down and dirty, here's the policy and here's the suggested changes. And then further, there's an annotated document, which I think is the quickest reference for you because it says, here's the policy, this is what it's changed, this is why we're recommending the change. So all of those are resources for you. What we typically do is we'll start with the annotation and then work backwards if we need to drill down and get more in the weeds. So I recommend you do the same. If you have any questions, feedback about any of these policies between now and next month, please send those to me, to my office, and we'll get that to staff. And we'll get those things included, that feedback included.
Anybody have any questions? So the next item is 7.7, upcoming events. Mr. Tiscano?
Yeah, just point out a couple items in your June, July calendar. Nothing much going on in June, just remember that we close on Fridays, we're only for 10-hour work weeks. End of July, the district is closed, July 4th. And so that particular week, we had adjusted work schedule for staff. DLT on Monday, Tuesday, July 14th and 15th. Our district leadership team will be in the cafeteria that morning. Typically, board president and any of you who are available to join us for breakfast that morning. We start at 7:30, and we typically kick that off, open everyone back, and give the board an opportunity to say some encouraging words to the leadership team as they start do their retreat, really start aligning our focus for the year in anticipation for seeing our staff later in the month. So again, mark your calendar for the 14th. We'll send a reminder out. Cameron will send a reminder that starts at 7:30 in the morning on the 14th. We'll be together the 14th and 15th, both in the cafeteria and Patterson. Your next regularly scheduled board meeting is on July 24th. About the 21st of that week, I'll deliver the evaluation packet to the superintendent for you to have a few days to review. And at the end of the meeting on the 24th, we'll go to executive session to calibrate and collaborate about the notes that you have for me. And that's what we'll do that evening. On the 29th is district kickoff. We have an 8 a.m. session and a 10:30 staff across the district will get the message from here, set the direction from here. You're really motivated and ready to execute. And then on the 31st, we have a special board meeting at 5:30, and that will be the student services.
Any other questions of the meeting minutes? If not, we're going to move on to the action agenda. Item 8.1, an order authorizing the issuance of one or more series of the district's unlimited tax school building and funding bonds in the maximum amount of $125,545,000, levying an ad valorem tax for the payment thereof, delegating the authority to the district staff to approve and execute related documents and other matters in connection therewith. Mr. Toscano?
Yeah, I'd like to welcome Victor Kubota, partner from Specialized Public Finance. You know, well, to the podium, you have your miscellaneous packet, the slide deck. Victor will be reviewing the board tonight. Essentially, we want to brief the board on our financing plans of $309 million that were approved by voters in May. So I'll turn it over to Victor.
Thank you. Honorable President, members of the board, Mr. Toscano, thank you for having me here this evening. It's great to see everybody. Always very excited to come here, but I'm even more excited because now we're moving forward on a transformational bond program that the voters allowed me to move forward with the construction of a second high school and 2 elementary schools. And so congratulations on that successful bond election, and also welcome Mr. Gerhardt to the board and everything. So before we begin, I want to introduce my new associate, Eduardo Lopez. He just joined my firm about 2 months ago, and so he's here attending as well. And so we're going to provide you a brief overview. I believe we have a presentation. Is that right? Not very good technology. Figured that. So that was a lengthy agenda item and also a legal action that you're taking today. So what I wanted to do for you, like we've done in the past, is just give you a summary of what the action you're taking is and the plan to start moving forward and providing those funds so you can start getting going on those projects. I was very happy to hear that Mr. Toscano uses the term clip notes. I'm always hesitant about that because that kind of dates you. Not too many people know what clip notes are. But I love clip notes. I got them through high school and college, so I'm very pleased to hear that. So these are kind of the clip notes of the bond transaction that you're considering today. So as you know, the voters gave us authority to move forward on $309,150,000 this past May. So what we're going to talk about today is just revisit with you your outstanding debt, overview of the bond program, what we're going to cover with those proceeds once you do get them over time, and also talk to you about the financing plan for the initial issuance of debt this summer out of that authorization, and then also regarding a refinancing opportunity. And so currently we have 9 bond issues outstanding, and the total principal amount is $312.2 million. These are bond issuances that the district has issued to fund capital projects and also to conduct refinancings for interest cost savings through taxpayers. These bonds, as you can see there, the colors, they're paid off over time, and starting in 2027 to 2055, they'll be paid off. Currently, all your debt is rated AAA, which is the highest, best bond rating you could have, and guarantees you the opportunity to get you the best interest rate possible for you and the taxpayers on your financing. And so I hope Shane doesn't have a copyright on that logo, because I just I copied it from the website and put it here on my presentation. And so you can see here we're doing 3 main projects. The first one is the high school, number 2, and then 2 new elementary schools. And what we told the voters is that we could support and issue this bond program, and over time we would issue the debt, and over time we would feel the tax impact to cover that debt. And so we were talking about 8.75 cents over the next 3 years. We're hopeful, just like the 2022 bond program, that will be under budget, but right now we want to be conservative, and so that's what we're looking at currently. So the initial plan upon our discussion with the administration was we were looking at funding and providing funds for $60 million, but after some discussions with Ms. Burns, currently you have the legal capacity under this action item to go up to $80 million. We're actually recommending that, and the administration is amenable to that. The reason why is because the state, with everything else they did in their legislative session, one of the things that they're going to do is increase the homestead exemption from $100,000 to $140,000. So if we sell this debt and close it by September 1st, 2025, we'll get to have this debt component, what we call held harmless. What that means is that the state will make up the difference for that increased homestead exemption, because as the homestead exemption increases, that basically is lost revenue to the school district. So for this bond component, we will be able to hold these harmless, and they'll be able to get some state aid to make those debt service payments moving forward. So we anticipate actually selling $80 million to fund projects. And then we're also looking at a refinancing of 3 of your bond issues. Currently, the eligible amount to refinance is $45.5 million. However, not all of them carry high interest rates, and so based on current market conditions, it's likely that we'll only refinance about $13 million. But right now, just to be conservative and providing flexibility, we're going to cite the $45.5 million in the document that you're considering this evening. We anticipate saving your tax rate about $541,000. The plan is to move quickly. Our office has already started a lot of documentation. Our hope is that we'll enter the bond market on Monday, July 7th. We'll be one of the first ones to go into the market. We'll be able to deliver those funds to you on August 7th. And we also are going to structure, just to play safe, a principal payment on August 15, 2025. Currently, the district's debt service fund balance, or your INS tax fund balance, is very healthy, and so the proposal is to utilize about $2 million to make that first principal payment on these new bonds so that you could forego a lot of interest over the life of the next 30 years. So it's just another strategic way to utilize cash on hand to minimize the debt burden on your taxpayers. And so reviewing the previous prudent decision the board has made, this is a look at the refinancings that you've conducted and also the decencies. It's our fancy way of saying we're paying off bonds early. And so in total, you all have saved about $8 million for your taxpayers, and we're hoping to add to that once we conduct the refinancing this summer. Finally, ladies and gentlemen, this is just a summary or clip notes of the agenda items that you're considering today. This is basically granting the administration the authority to lock in the interest rate and sign the final documents without having us reconvene at a board meeting and taking up this item. And so we're going to limit the bond sale to up to $80 million for new project funding, and then also try to pursue the refinancing that we discussed earlier. I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Madam President, I recommend board approves the district's bond order as presented.
Thank you. We have a recommendation from the superintendent. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
I have a motion by Mr. Wilkie. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second by Mr. Gerhart. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed?
Thank you. It's great to see everybody again, and we'll get to work.
Thank you. All the work.
Yeah, trustees, this is the next phase in the transformation, if you will, of our employee health benefits program. As you're very well aware, this is a priority for us as a team. And for the last 5 years, we've really done a fantastic job of improving the quality of healthcare benefits as well as the affordability for the employees. The challenge has been in this volatile market to design and structure a benefits plan that is also affordable for the mission. And so despite all of the efforts that we have made with our previous consultants to make adjustments to the design strategically, we've been unable to balance the books, if you will, when it comes to the health benefits program. So again, our employees have a great product and are very satisfied. As a district, it's not affordable to continue down that path. So we brought to you a couple of months ago a termination recommendation for our previous consultant, and followed that with a recommendation to bring Holmes Murphy on board. Holmes Murphy, since being hired as our new consultant, has been hard at work, along with Shannon and her team, to put a request for proposals on the streets. We're very specific about what we expect for our medical and pharmacy administration, COBRA and stop-loss services. And after reviewing the bids, with the assistance of Holmes Murphy and Associates, who are here with us tonight, and we get to meet them. We'll give you an overview of where we landed. We're going to be bringing for your consideration the medical administration, pharmacy administration, and stop-loss coverage to be administered by Blue Cross Blue Shield, and COBRA administration to be administered by First Financial Group of America, who's currently our Board Party Administrator for our supplemental benefits program. So with that, I'll turn it over to Shannon to introduce the Holmes Murphy team and present more specificity around this item.
All right, well, good evening. I'm very happy to be able to introduce to you Jim Holder, Julie Rickman, and Mike Figge. Mr. Susana said they've really been working hard with us over the past few months, and so tonight they're here to share that information with you so that we can move forward with the recommendation.
Thank you all very much. It's an honor to be here with you. Mike and I come from a line of public educators, so this is basically a part of us to work with your leadership team on addressing something that's very dear to all of us, is our own personal needs for affordable health care, which we need. And I think that due diligence that we've done on behalf of the school district and working closely with the leadership in the ways those really express affordability and doing it in a way that our teachers and the people that work for the school district really be beacons of light to the people and help, and that's really what Mr. Toscano and he really expressed in the process. But I'm going to take us to the next slide, Jack. Go through this.
Shannon, got you covered.
There we go. I was getting a little worried there. So I'll ask Julie and Mike to come up here as well. So we did release the RFP on behalf of the school district. One of the themes of our RFP was we really wanted to reduce complexity. There's a lot of complexity built into your programs, and health literacy is a real challenge for people. Most of it's not, if I did a poll here and asked you to define a deductible payment or out of pocket, most of us were not going to answer correctly. So address cost, affordability, reduce complexity, and provide access to the school teachers, the employees, and their
I should start running those things by you to see where we're actually going to be in these things instead of close-ish.
A little bit on market.
I'll just stay in.
Summary of the marketing results that we did release in our RFP.
I tried to. I give myself enough rain. Take the squirrel out of it in case it rains for a week. Yeah, but your teams on those two big ones are just
Request the best and final offer is on May the 29th, and we presented for here today with our recommendation. It's kind of went over, but the criteria is really around plan designs, administrative services that we could procure on behalf of the school district, fees and guarantees. We focused a lot on the value of the Blue Cross Blue Shield network compared to the network arrangement that you have today. The two things we look at that is unit cost is what we pay the hospital, the doctors, and the providers, and the other being construction. So basically, most of us know that Blue Cross Blue Shield provides broad access to many providers in the market. 75% share, where the current vendor you were with has less than 5%. So that scale enables us to address more affordability. We also went through a reference criteria on behalf of the doctor, we want to see price only. That was a nice benefit that we did. We also added an HMO level benefit that drove a lot more savings for this district, and therefore we'll be able to pass that on to your employee population. So that's the design. We had last year, we had 3 more plans, and we kind of, in the nature of one of our objectives is to address simplicity, so taking the 3 down to 2, that was a big part of the goal. We kept the pharmacy benefits the same that we had before, and those are the benefits that are in place today. Included in our services are all of these services. I don't want to read through all this, but complete scope of services from Blue Cross Blue Shield, Texas that we're recommending, and all of this is built into the offering on the administrative side. And a little bit on the fees. Your current arrangement today is with the regions and Signet as a network, and we were able to dramatically improve the rebates. If anybody has been following stuff that's hitting Washington, there's a lot of stuff on rebates, and that's what the pharmacy benefit managers did for placing drugs on the formulary. And we're able to increase that credit by almost 2 times, right? Moving from your current arrangement, moving to the cross. We improved that slightly during the BAFO. On the transition credit, we really made it clear that the bidders of this is we needed help transitioning from your current arrangement coming out of the difficult financial year. So Blue Cross Blue Shield of Texas did provide $413,000 in transition credit. The reason why you see a difference between the BAFO and the original is not that Mike's a bad negotiator or Julie, is they actually lowered the monthly fee that they were chosen. So basically this increased to about 6 months credit. So that result over the 3-year period of time will be greatly enhanced. And then on a 1-year basis, moving from this arrangement with the credits all in place, we save the district about $760,000. The assumptions we made is we made 1,061 employees, and then we did have in the contract that you have the greater of for your rebate credit, that they're in essence giving you the credit up front, and if your rebate yield comes in at $125, we'll get the $25 difference at a true up period about 90 days after that closing policy year. And then within your medical plan, this could give, I think one of our presenters talked about, we talk hours on this in many days, you also get credit for the rebates that go through your medical plan. Next slide, please. On the network side, we use simple criteria tied to metrics tied to how many primary cares within a radius of 3 miles and how many hospitals. So in general, being in this metropolitan area, the access is very good. We also ran this against disruptions in the network and the providers.
Does that mean I have to get my health care on the south side?
It came out to about 7.5%. And this compares favorably if we look at it on a look back on who the Signet network had. It was about, it was almost 9 points less.
Yeah, but right now we have that concierge doctor. She's awesome. Yeah, we got a down this road here clinic, and we just go in and see her, and it like costs nothing. She's awesome. She's this Ukrainian chick. Learned how to put her makeup on recently. She's 50-something. She freaking tests you for everything. Gives you all kinds of free stuff. Boy. She's awesome. I go there twice a year.
So that's a little bit about our recommendations.
It's also my favorite. Tell me it's not called Speed Guy.
Anything you want to add to this, Julie, on the Cobra?
Yes, simply for your Cobra brand, I actually recommend something for your time of evening. FFGA currently administers the Cobra for your ancillary lines coverage, and currently the Cobra is
both awesome. Like, that's the good thing.
Last year for 10, it's probably, you know, it was under budgeted at that amount.
I was afraid of like turn one of them. I didn't know how big they're going after, but they're probably going after higher margin.
And the projection versus the projection with changes, gets you to what?
Let's keep everything low key and everybody make money, we walk away and everybody's happy. Good project. I don't want to deal with a bunch of dudes from outside the market. Honestly.
Gross spend is the overall spend you have. You do share a component of the cost with your teachers. That would be the contribution.
That's why I think like Rossborough would be a good fit. He had to go to a work in down south. He texted me. He goes, I can have one of my guys come, and I'm like, dude, don't worry about it. It's all good. I just couldn't roll the dice. I like AGCM. But if they get you somebody that's gonna be a problem, what do you do?
And this goes over just to the cost share to the employee portion. So below at the bottom of the slide, it goes over what their cost is for 2024 to 2025 plan year. The new plan year will start September 1st and go through the remainder of 2025. And this is the contribution factor for the employees to sign up for the HMO plan. My tier from employee on the all the way over. And based on our analysis and our work on behalf of school district, you know, the board's recommendation is to move forward with across the board the medical administration, pharmacy, stop loss, and then code administration, first financial, consolidate those, you guys should cover vendors and put it in line. That's all our prepared remarks, so, if you have any questions, we have a team up here, including Shannon, to answer questions you might have.
I've got one. You mentioned that it was stated with the current provider that it's slated to go 38% overall. Switching over, how much is that going to increase?
Yeah, go back a couple slides. Roughly, the increase in cost, yeah, that cost basis is the difference between the 410 and the 558. The annual net cost is down below, and the second is 458, excuse me, yeah. Mike's my math guy. That's 458. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. Appreciate it.
Anybody else?
Did you cover prescriptions?
Yeah, prescriptions are in there. So we go back, a couple things, we did not propose any changes to the formulary.
Yeah.
That's the drugs that the employees will get. These are the same benefits served that the school teachers and employees have today, and we will maintain those identically. The thing that we changed was improve the terms and definitions and for operating plan, and that was shown in the prior exhibit, prior slide, I believe, was shown.
So put another way, the employees are going to have the exact same benefit. This new plan is structured in a way that is also more advantageous for the district, hopefully better benefits on that side for the district. The employees are going to have the same level of bonus. Is that helpful?
Yeah, yeah.
Anybody else? Thank you.
Yeah, Madam President, I recommend board approval of award RFP number 257901, specified bid categories, Blue Cross Blue Shield and Cobra Administration to first financial group in America with the 2025-2026 proposed premiums as presented.
I have a recommendation by the superintendent, do I have a motion? I have a motion by Mr. Gerhart, do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second by Mr. Santos. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. Item on the agenda is 8.3, take corrective action relating to McKinney Vento students.
If trustees, TA regularly reviews all of the data that we have to our student information system annually. Periodically, they'll identify some inconsistencies in the data that they report back to us as findings, and this is one of those situations. So data from, I believe, 23, 24, so lagging data, identified 12 students in our school system who were suspended for infractions, where suspensions were appropriate. But those 12 students were categorized in TA's review of our data as included. McKinney Vento is a classification for students who will be in a broad continuum of unhoused or homeless. And so by statute, you cannot remove a student from school for any reason other than Title V or serious misbehavior. So the typical things you would expect a suspension for, like fighting, classroom disruption, those sorts of things. If the child is categorized as McKinney Vento, an action that cannot be taken is suspension. Other students not categorized as McKinney Vento, or that infraction would justify the suspension could be suspended. And so, of those 12 students, when we reviewed the data, actually half of those were not classified as McKinney Vento when they were suspended, so that was amended. However, a corrective action plan was required from TEA for the remaining half of those students that were. And so I'm asking for the to review the plan of action, but essentially what TEA expects in these cases is that we identify what happened, and then we make the adjustments to build in the appropriate systems, training, such that there's checks and balances internally, so that in the event a child does something that justifies suspension, that we review the data, the student records prior to administering disciplinary consequences, so that we can be aware that it is possible that the child is McKinney Vento, so we explore other options for disciplinary consequences. So Mr. McKay can highlight the board what the actions that we've already taken are.
Yes, sir. So at this point, it's to retrain our principals and our assistant principals on the processes and procedures for discipline. That also just include what are the alternative measures that we can do in lieu of now school suspension. We provide each campus with an accurate McKinney Vento list monthly for quick access when they're handling McKinney Vento students. Conduct monthly meetings with our information system and student services to track and report and submit discipline data to ensure that all students are included in homeless status are being appropriately documented. With our assistant principals, continuously review our discipline toolkit, considerations handbook, exclusionary discipline rubric, and them monthly. Conduct our routine discipline meetings with our campus behavior coordinators, school counselors, and our student support teams, which includes our social workers, foster care liaison, or any of our McKinney Vento liaisons that we have to evaluate the impact of our alternative disciplinary measures. Hold monthly meetings with ISD social worker or McKinney Vento liaison to progress monitor attendance, behavior, and grades for our students, as well as continue to provide training opportunities for campuses on usage of restorative practices when handling students who qualify as McKinney Vento. A couple pieces of note that I'd like to also say regarding this was that every one of the students that did receive those suspensions were involved in an altercation on campus, a fight, which did cause major disruptions and was a threat to student safety. The other thing that we did is we verified that all of the students who were classified, even though Mr. Toscano already stated that 6 of the 12 that they told us they were not McKinney Vento. They all have a stable home. None of them live in shelters, none of them live on the streets, so although they have this broad range of classification, every one of them has a brick and mortar home that they go to, the family that they live in. So So those are the corrective actions that we're putting before you today for election or for vote. But I also say this, that it's good to know that in the recent 89th legislative session, House Bill 6 now allows us to suspend students for out-of-school suspension that qualify for McKinney-Vento if they have repeated or significant disruption or they threaten the safety of others. So it's reversing this law that we have to put corrective actions in place now. But then once it takes place in September 1st, we'll now be able to suspend students regardless of their classification status. So that's what we're bringing to you for. I'll be happy to answer any other questions you may have.
I've got one, just so I'm clear, we suspended students without knowing their classification, and the TPA stepped in and said, slap our hands, so you can't do that?
Yes, sir. Yeah, that's essentially the deal. Now, I will say, as Mr. Ciscone said, of the 12, 7 of them had not been classified as McKinney-Vento yet. They were classified after they had been in a fight on campus. 5 of those situations, 5 of those students were
I want to classify.
in physical. I'll also say there's a little bit more information. One of them was on her parent request. I mean, you will suspend my child and not put them in school suspension. So administration tried to do the right thing, but they were told no by the parent. I want it suspended. And then the other one actually was was significant enough, an assault with bodily injury, that it was a requirement for them to go to the alternative school, which they were detained, so therefore it had to be suspended. So we also disputed that with TPA.
So for all the reasons Mr. McKay just mentioned, there's always context. That context and examples of were presented to the legislature along with years of data. The legislature overturned this in House Bill 6. And so this corrective action plan has to be approved by the board tonight, signed, submitted by the board and myself. It meets the requirements for the corrective action for this particular circumstance, but as of September 1, this is no longer the case. There are different rules in place for serious behavior. Is that helpful? Thank you, Mr. Jackson. Madam President, I recommend the board approve the TEA corrective action plan for discipline related to McKinney-Vento students as presented.
Thank you. I have a recommendation from the superintendent. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
I have a motion by Mr. Mulkey. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second by Mr. Sanchez. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. The next item on the agenda is 8.4, 25-26, TAP turnaround plan for Legacy and Harmony.
Yeah, I'll turn it over to Mr. Holbrook. Talk a little bit about this. Again, reflective of lagging data, Jonathan already presented what actually is already happening. Legacy is running, however, due to compliance reasons, we're bringing this forward. We'll try to help you understand.
I want to start by saying 2 things I think you'll see from what we'll have to talk about. One is that stating a million doesn't always make sense. And so a couple times when I'm talking, you're thinking that can't be true. It is a little crazy. And so I'm just going to start there. I'm going to say, in spite of that, Essential is filled with a ton of people who are amazing, who get the job done in spite of whatever the challenge is. And so the story starts here in June. So earlier this month, the state reached out and said, hey, we haven't done anything called the turnaround plan since 2019, but we will be engaging in the work to create a turnaround plan for 2 campuses, and you have to have board approval by the end of the month. So I said, well, tell me more about this thing. And so they're saying that turnaround plan is because of 2 years of performance. And so because they just released the 2023 accountability reports earlier in the spring, they're saying that's 1 year. And the year before that, they're counting 2018, 2019. So the 2018, 2019 performance and 22, 23 performance necessitates that we have to make a plan now in the month of June. And so we've engaged in the process. Now, there's 2 really big things working for us. One I said was we have remarkable leaders, so Mr. Ryan and Mr. Reynolds are doing amazing things as always. And they are checking all the boxes boxes, get all the things, making sure that not only do we have the correct compliance paperwork, which we're asking for you to approve, but also having meaningful plans for our campus. And so the second thing we have working for us is the CG process that we use, where we try to get really clear about what our needs are, what work we're engaging in, and we're able to reference the plans that we have and make it line up to what the state's saying, so that we have great plans already in place that we can then say, oh, is it lining up and making sure we're meeting all the requirements? And so we combine those two things to really work for our benefit. So I'm going to walk you through a little bit of the plan very briefly. What you're going to see in there is a lot of talk about high-quality instructional materials. One of TA's favorite acronyms is HQI1. So you're going to see those materials and how we plan for those materials and how we provide adequate time, energy, effort to implement those materials in classrooms. You're going to see some more talk around, like specifically at Legacy, around the ACE restart. And so that whole process that we went through with Legacy. So those are two actions that we were already doing before this, but based on the guidance, it aligns to the requirements for the plan. So as we've been working on the plan, they've reached out to the community, and the community input. We had P220 in our training with us, and they're incredibly supportive as well. They have been giving us feedback on our plans along the way, and we will continue to do that. And so they've been great partners. And so we're trying to make sure that in spite of some of these somewhat, I would say, irrational requirements from the state, we're looking to do meaningful work to make sure that we have plans for our campuses. And so we're asking that you approve these two terms, plans or caps.
Yeah, Madam President, I recommend board approval of the targeted improvement plans as presented.
I have a recommendation from the superintendent. Do I have a motion?
So
Motion by Mr. Santos. Do I have a second? A second by Mr. Gerhart. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. The next item is 8.5 policy update, FDL-A to X and FML-X. Mr. Santos?
So trustees, this is a couple policies that we want to ask you to consider amending tonight. And they're reference to Senate Bill 401, which passed this session, which enables students who live in a school district but are not enrolled in the school district to participate in UIL extracurricular activities. It is the recommendation of our athletic director in collaboration with area athletic directors to opt out of this, which is an option of local school board can consider. And so what we're essentially saying is if a student lives in our community but they do not attend school in our schools, that they would not be given access to our athletic
You could be skipping out on the next Tim Tebow. That's what he did.
School, and they want to play football, they don't get to play football unless they enroll in our schools. And so the policy that we're amending, FD local, has the language in there that essentially says that you must reside in the school district and be involved in our schools to participate in extracurricular activities. The second policy there refers to participation in extracurricular activities, and it refers you back to the policy that I just referenced, and we would add that language to. And again, this is, for many reasons, the recommendation of our athletic director, athletic program, as well as with collaboration with all area athletic directors, and I believe across the state that they will be opting out of this particular statute, which the statute does allow local school boards to have that option. And I, or our athletic director, would be happy to answer any questions if the board has any.
Does anyone have any questions?
Absolutely. I personally don't know of any that are not opting out. They just do it either this month, between now and August. Preferably before August, since athletic program, volleyball, cross country, football would have President, I recommend board approval of board policy update FB local A to X and FM local X as presented.
I have a recommendation from the superintendent. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
I have a motion from Mr. Mulkey. Do I have a second?
Second.
A second from Mr. Santos. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. Next item is 8.6, year PTA donations.
So, as part of our renovations to Heritage and Legacy, we added water bottle filling stations, those campuses, and students love them, staff love them. The PTA and Heritage raised some funds specifically to add some more water refill stations on campus. They're valued at $5,280 to add 2 more to campus. Those are part of the donation to the PTA. Those are valued over $5,000 in combination with the cost of the two. So per board policy, CDC local, the board must approve said donation. So that's what we're bringing to your consideration. Yeah, thanks.
Who made the donation?
Heritage PTA, they raised their funds. Madam President, I recommend board accepting the donations from Heritage PTA in the amount of $5,000.
How did you get that?
I have a recommendation from the superintendent. Do I have a motion? I have a motion from Mr. Santos. Do I have a second? A second from Mr. Mulkey. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. Item 8.7, eligible for donation.
Trustees, if you'll recall, as we were talking to the community about the bond referendum that they supported in May, we talked about if the bond didn't pass, what Plan B was. And Plan B, Phase 1, was to purchase and install and stand up 14 toilets across the district. That was Phase 1. The bond passed, fortunately, but it does not mean that before we could open the 2 elementary schools and high school that we won't need any of those. Fortunately, through contact with Animal Colleges, we found out that they had some available that they wanted to donate. So our team jumped on it, evaluated the condition of those portables, and found 3 that were essentially brand new, in excellent condition. And so they are going to donate the 3 portables to the district, which obviously means they're valued well over $5,000, which requires the board to accept those donations. Should the board approve that, we'll move forward and getting them delivered and landed. 1 will go to Harmony and 2 will go to Honor, which is where we'll need that relief in the next couple of years. And that'll cost us about $75,000 to get those things moved and set up, which is much better than the $200,000 or $250,000 it would cost in total had we not had these donated. So very, very pleased and very grateful to have the community colleges for this generous offer. And it's great tonight for your consideration as possible.
Mr. T goes, here, call this lady. Here.
I do know
Okay.
that it's very cheap. That's something that's like public, or do we have?
It's Mr. T.
I
just show up.
happened to be, the president of the Alamo Colleges had nominated me for partnership award earlier in the year, and at that event, he mentioned, he knows that we were growing, and that we just passed the bond, and he said that he had several portables for us to take a look at if we could be, they would be of use. But they were offered to anybody in the area that we need. I would say we got there first and we got the pick one.
It was at the right place.
Right place, right time. Right place, right time.
All right.
Madam President, I recommend the board approve the acceptance of the donation of 3 portable classrooms from the Alamo Community College District and the associated center cost. As presented.
So I have a recommendation from the superintendent. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
I have a motion from Mr. Mulkey. Do I have a second? A second from Mr. Gerhart. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. Next item.
I got a gold buzzer.
Next item is 8.8, increased district premium of health insurance. Mr. Casada.
Trustees, as was mentioned earlier, our health premiums, at least our claims have went up 38% this year, we're seeing a significant increase in claims that are hitting the books here towards the closeout of the planned year. And so in order to pay the difference, what we're bringing as a strategy for the board to consider tonight is for the district to increase the per employee per month contribution from $410 that it currently is to $820 for the next 3 months, so that we can afford the increased claims that are beyond what we had forecasted. And that will enable us to prevent going to fund balance to bridge that gap. So we're projecting what that additional cost is going to be. We feel like the additional $410 per employee per month will be sufficient. So that's what we're bringing for your consideration. That's temporary. And not to be confused with the recommendation for next year, which is to move from 410 to 458 per employee per month for next year's plan year. Because of the design of the plan, that will be sufficient as opposed to the 565, I believe, which was where the initial repricing was on next year's plan. But after all of the less than final offer negotiating that the partners did, we were able to get that down to something that's more palatable on the district side. So just wanted to clarify that we talked about two different things here.
You're gonna increase it to $800 for 3 months.
Yes, sir. So-
And then go back.
And then for next year, we're gonna go up to the 458. So this is just to close out the books for this
Yes.
year. Yes, sir. So currently, we're contributing 410, but we need to go up to another 410 per employee per month to pay the delta. That's good. It's complicated. It's a lot. Trustees, I recommend board approval to increase the district's employer health insurance contribution for employees to $820 per month per employee